Everybody. This is Robert Ranseen here to present my Sprint 5. So let's get started. So we begin asking about fancy lists. So imagine that you were an avid user of our Relo board. Relo here is just a non-copyright way of saying Trello board, as Team Deja Vu decided. So you're an avid user of this Relo board, and let's say in this case that you were using you're using the Relo board to create a weekly board, and in this weekly board, what you're doing is you're separating your daily tasks by creating a list for each day and adding cards onto that list, which represents the tasks that you have for that day. So for Monday, maybe you do your homework on Monday. Tuesday, you have laundry that you need to do, so you add that to Tuesday, etc. So you're going about your daily life using this weekly board week to week to schedule all your things. However, after a while, you feel like your head's going to explode without a little bit of motivation between these days, or at least some kind of decoration to make your task seem a little less daunting. So, how do we do that? That would be through fancy lists. So, this is a point where a user might want something like a cat image with a positive quote between the lists, something to break up the monotony um, between your day-to-day tasks. And this can be done through these things called fancy lists, which is a term that Dr. Bradshaw actually coined. I didn't have the heart to change because I thought it was a fun way of describing what these really are. So in a fancy list, you're allowed to select either a colored background or image, um, and you're allowed to add text if you would like in the fashion of this view which I created. Um, so these fancy lists are using the template pattern in order to work correctly. So the template pattern, as we've learned, involves the use of an abstract class, where the instantiation of the classes are subclasses. And these subclasses are going to follow a specific algorithm, which has specific steps. It has an ordering of steps, which are going to be called. But these steps can be handled differently depending on the subclass in order to make the algorithm specific to that object. So to make fancy lists, I'm using an abstract list class where lists and fancy lists are inheriting from this class, and the algorithm um, that is being done here is an algorithm for drawing the list, um, where we have the setup step and the style step, and the fancy list is going to override these steps in order to do something very slightly different from the normal list. The normal list is going to be drawn um, with the cards shown, and it's not going to have as complicated of a styling with CSS, and so that is what we're overriding here and improving upon to draw these two lists differently when you're looking at your board view and you want to see all these lists. So if we look at an example really quickly, in all my tests I have a user, and then this user has multiple boards, but in this case we can just look at board one, where I have added two lists, a normal list, which I just have a card to show that that's working, and then we have a fancy list. In this case, I'm just adding an image because I found a cool image that I wanted to show. So my test view looks like this when you run it, and this just shows that we have our list and our fancy list showing up on our board. Um, we also see that our board name has been replaced, and we have the button that we need. So with this, we see that we're currently selecting our images and colors through a drop-down menu, yet these can be expanded, and the template pattern allows for expansion with this algorithm, which is set in place, and where these steps can be overwritten in the future to make more complicated tasks. And that is my sprint 5. Thank you.